the markets reacted to Brexit so far?
Well, the financial markets have reacted in different ways to Brexit. I think most important is that first, the financial Armageddon that was predicted by many on the Remain side has not occurred. In fact, the equity markets are very well behaved, indeed not far from their all-time highs. And also many people on the Remain side also predicted that if we were to vote to leave the EU, then there would be global contagion in the sense that global financial markets would be impacted. But it was quite interesting at the recent G20 meeting, most of the central bank governors and finance ministers who were there effectively said that this was a local, namely a UK/EU focus. And clearly, as we've seen in the markets, there has not been the global negative contagion. Obviously, the pound has weakened. I would say that that's a good thing. Before the referendum, whatever the outcome, I felt that the pound would weaken anyway. Clearly, it's weakened significantly with a no vote. But the UK has such a big current account deficit, it always struck me that the pound was overvalued. And at the recent Bank of England inflation report, the governor pointed out that the weaker pound would contribute to a likely halving of the current account deficit in the next few years. Maybe the most interesting feature of the financial market since the referendum has been the incredibly low level of government bond yields in the UK. Now, in some respects, this is a global phenomena in the sense that industrialised economies now see their governments able to borrow at either negative or close to zero interest rates. That is happening in the UK, and it's important to stress that Britain has not been discriminated against because of the referendum result. And as a result, we now have the combination of a weak pound, which is good for the economy, and incredibly low government borrowing rates, which should allow the UK government to borrow to invest in the infrastructure, and it creates a golden opportunity.
A number of large firms, including some who gave prominent warnings against Brexit, have already committed to major investments since the vote. What do you expect to see going forward in terms of investment?
I'm very positive about the outlook for the UK economy and indeed for investment, but it should be stressed that for some firms, their business model will be impacted adversely by the referendum result. But the reality, if we look at the economy overall, the referendum result, particularly if we follow through on it and leave the EU, should be very positive for the UK economy. But you're correct, in terms of the last few weeks, we've seen positive signs on the investment side. On the science community side, indeed a big investment in terms of the UK from Japan. So I would say that if one looks beyond the near-term uncertainty, and there is still some uncertainty in the near term, less so maybe on the politics now, more so on the future negotiation with the EU. But if you look beyond that, there are still many reasons to be very positive about the outlook for the UK economy. When one links that into investment, I would say the key is to look at the interaction between the economic fundamentals, policy and confidence. Now clearly confidence is the most difficult to predict. It's always possible that some people, and indeed we see this in certain places, try and talk themselves into a downturn, a self-fulfilling downturn. And if confidence is negative, then that may have a detrimental impact on investment. But overall, I would say the combination of the economic fundamentals and policy should actually make the investment outlook attractive, particularly the further ahead one projects.